What's up, guys? Today in this video I just unboxed this beautiful AD20S recently, and I'm going to be installing some OG goat scales on here. These are some aluminum ones that I picked up from OG Goat, and we're going to see if we can install these on this AD20. This is the slim, so these are nice aluminum. It's got like this nice like kind of fluted milling pattern. And here you go, it's got aluminum, the OG Goat logo, and then USA. These are USA made, pretty awesome. Let's see if we can get into this. I probably will not talk the entire time, but I will be taking this apart and installing these scales. So let's get into this. Here we go. I have to back this camera up a little bit so I can get in front of it. There we go. And let's get into this. Here we go. Actually, let me see. I probably want to just put a thing here so that I don't damage the hardware at all. That's good. There we go. Alright, here we go. Let's get this apart. I'm using a, this is the NAF's bit driver. This thing's awesome. I use it a lot for disassemblies and tightening knives and whatnot, but it works pretty great. There's that pot clip. Let's see if I can just, nope. Sometimes the G10 sticks to the steel liners on the inside, so I might take the whole thing apart and then put it all back together, which is probably what I'll do. These felt like they were a little bit loose. That's not good. I can get these apart here. Uh-oh. Spinning the whole thing there. Looks like we're spinning the whole... Alright, well, let's see if I can get this apart real quick. Don't want to hurt myself, so just very carefully. There we go. Pulled it apart at the back there, you can see. And then what I like to do is we'll actually use a simple flathead and just grab it on here and then pull it towards the front here, so it lifts that front scale up. There we go. As you can see, this spring, when you take these apart, after you take this, there you go, there it comes apart. Those the back spacer balls, the barrels, spacer barrels. There we go. Let's see. Pull this out. There we go. That's one scale off. And then once you pull this steel plate, there's a spring underneath that holds the lock under tension. There's a spring in here, so when I pull it out, that spring's gonna go flying. So you want to be really careful when you do this, not to let that spring fly out everywhere, go all over the place. So let's see if I can push this apart here. Be very carefully, just wiggle it, and so there's that spring, and it will fly out, so you want to be really careful. There you go, pull it out. So be careful with that, because I've had it fly across the room before and then you have to worry about it getting lost and all that. So here we go, let's pull this apart. There goes the pivot. These look like aftermarket bearings, so that's interesting. That'll be fun to deal with. I don't know how the new scales will work with those, but that's alright, we'll figure it out. I might have to take it apart and reassemble it, so that'll be interesting, but we'll see how it goes. Now, getting this piece off is going to be a little bit difficult, mostly because, let's see if I can grab from the inside here. Maybe not. This, because it's even with that G10 scale, so it's a little bit hard to pull out. There, see if I can get a flathead in there. There we go. kind of marred up that G10, but that's all right. I'm gonna be using this thing anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But yeah, you kind of have to pry this up a little bit. There we go. Yeah, a little bit of, kind of tore it up a little bit, but that's okay. We're not gonna worry about that. Now I got those off. Now we're gonna start putting this thing together. So we're starting with the side, with the captive pivot, because that's the side that doesn't have the screw head. Put that in, make sure it's flush with the scale, so that we turn it till it sits. There you go. And then we're gonna try, we're gonna need these, obviously. So we're gonna need this plate right there, and we're gonna just do one set of bearings right there, and then we got our blade, and then I'm gonna put another bearing, and at this point we got to worry about the backspacer and that lock. So got this goes there, just like that. Spring will go in this space right there. We'll worry about that in a second. These though, see, they drop through, so you have to kind of, let's see, you have to screw those in before do this. Let's see if I can do this. Here we go. Let me screw this into here real quick. I wonder, not sure exactly how I want to do this, but I think you can do that and then just, I've done this before, so I'm not super worried about it. And you just put this through like, oh dear, oh, nope, not quite. See if I can get it. I know this goes in there, right? Should, let me see. Come on. There it goes, all the way through. And then, so on these, you do have to put the screw in the spacer, in the barrels here, and then put the actual barrel like piece around it like that before you put the rest of it together. So on the AD20s, not the slims, on the AD20 full thicknesses, it's a lot easier because these barrels don't fit through the holes, so they don't slide through. You just set them on top and then go from there. It's a lot easier. But these, you have to kind of have them lay there. It makes it a lot harder, but that's all right. That's why I like working with the full thickness ones a little bit more. They're easier to deal with. And then where's our last? Let's see here. All right, sorry about that. I just noticed that I left the spacer in here, so I got to pull this one out as well. Which actually, let's see, unscrew. One trick, if you have something that's spinning like this, if it's just spinning, I found that it helps to push down on this side. It gives it friction between it, and then sometimes you can get it unlocked that way. If that doesn't work, sometimes you can use like a cloth and grab the one side, and maybe that'll work. In this case, it looks like it is there. It goes. Yep. Pull that out of there, and then you can grab your spacer out. Your spacer's a little bit thick, but stuck. There we go. So that's the last one. We're gonna. I should have just slid it out. It doesn't matter, but because obviously I'm putting it back in, I should have just left it in, but that's okay. Just wanted to show you that trick that I learned, and now it's not going to go back in. That's okay. It's got a lot of Loctite on there. Is this red Loctite? I think they put red Loctite. Yeah, it looks like somebody put red Loctite on these. That is not great. You're supposed to use blue Loctite. It's a lot more forgiving. You can take your knife apart, and it still holds it when it's, you know, it still keeps those screws from backing out. So not great. Trying to rub off some of this Loctite so it'll fit on there, but not a great thing. Maybe I'll just use this screw. Let me see. This one might work better. Not great. Yeah, use blue Loctite on your knives, or else you will never be able to take them apart, unless that's what you want, which I wouldn't recommend. I would use blue Loctite over red. So here's a weird thing. You gotta lift this up and slide it under and lay it down right there. There we go. Okay, now that that's done, we put these little barrels on top because I don't forget those. I have put a knife, like installed scales before and forgotten to put these back on. And they take it all the way apart and put it back together again. So it's a whole nightmare. Anyway, next we have our spring. And once our spring goes on, this will go right on top of it. So I want to have this handy so I can just slide it over top of it when I'm ready. So here we go. Push this here. Now it goes right inside this. I find it easier to push this side in first and then that back side in afterwards. You kind of just have to push it and then push it down like that. Okay, sometimes it will stay in, sometimes it won't. So this time it did stay in just enough for me to put this on. This place doesn't always go on perfectly, but looks like, and sometimes you have to wiggle it to get it around that pivot. In this case, that pivot is, there we go. Sometimes you have to pull this back lock. Sorry, I'm out of frame. Sometimes you have to pull this slightly back for it to fit on the pivot and these pins, but it looks like it's all working now. Yep, we're all good. And then we're going to take this, put this over top. Look at that. Sometimes you have to pull this back again to get it to fit over everything, but it looks like it's all good. And then we're going to reach around here, grab our pivot, put our pivot on, tighten that down just so I can get these other screws in because they will fall out, obviously, because they're not tight in yet. And then this one goes on. The shorter screws get used for the body, and then the longer screws are the 2 clip screws on whichever side you have the clip on. All right, let me see. These aren't tightening because I don't have it. So this is interesting. It's just kind of spinning, not tightening. I might have to use the 2 different bits, so I'll do that one last. But I want the clip on the right-hand side, on the non-show side, because I'm right-handed. And we're going to put this on here. And then we're going to put the longer screws on this side. That's one. And that's going to be the second one. There we go. So now it's mostly back together. Let me see, close it real quick. All right. So now you just make sure that you can actually open it. Let me tighten these down a little bit. Tighten the body screws, that one, and then these. This one's going to spin, obviously, because it's not tight yet, but these 2 are good to tighten. And then, not super tight, just, you know, snug. And then I'm going to need another bit for this one. Let's see if I have another bit here. This is a T8. It is a T8. Okay. Let me hold this on this side. Sometimes it's a little hard to do. On this side, and then screw this in. Oops. There we go. There, now it's going. And it's tight. There we go. So now we should have, let me see if this pivot's tight. Yep, pivot's tight. Now we should have beautiful aluminum scaled AD20S. Screw this off here. With these beautiful aluminum scales. Check that out. Let me make sure. No blade play. Absolutely no blade play. Action is beautiful. And centering is dead on. Look at that. So that is how you install OG goat scales on AD20S. That was actually a lot simpler than it usually goes. Usually it's a lot more difficult than that. But this feels awesome now. Look at that. Check the beautiful aluminum color with that nice blade. Looks sweet. So very excited to use this. And then the last step is sometimes I'll add some KPL, knife pivot lube. This stuff is awesome. I'm going to use the original just because I like the smoothness over the quick, you know, it's already drop shut anyway. So I'll just put some of this, 1 drop on either side, which is way more than enough. You don't even need that much, but That's how I usually do it. And sometimes on detent ball, I'll add a tiny bit. But this, of course, this doesn't have a detent ball, so one drop on either side of those bearings, on either bearing, and then that's it. Let it rake in, open it, close it. So yeah, that is how you install OG goat scales, at least aluminum ones, on the AD20S. This one had bearings in it, so, or aftermarket bearings, I believe, so it might have been a little bit different for yours. But that's it. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel. Let me know what your favorite Demko knife is, and what scales you have too. I definitely highly recommend OG goat scales. They're awesome, very high quality, and their customer service is super awesome. I've dealt with them; they're great. And have a great day. Bye.